Hi everyone, welcome back to How Have We Never Seen This Before. This week we discussed the Netflix original Moxie.
Join us as we discuss how we stand Seth as an ally, how we wish Lucy was actually the main character of this movie, and how there was a lack of intersectionality. So this week we watched Moxie, which is a new movie that came out by Amy Poehler. I think it came out 2 weeks ago. Kind of brand new.
Yeah, it's based off of a pretty famous book. Amy Poehler directed it, but the person who wrote the book is Jennifer Matthew. It's
Okay.
spelled funky.
Is it spelled French?
Yeah.
Before we start talking about our movie, we were trying to decide like what game we wanted to play today. So we settled on MadLibs. And these are all on, what is it called? Madtakes.com.
Okay, so which one are we doing first?
Be kind. Okay, so first you've got a noun.
Okay, if we're gonna do this one only has a few, so we have to make them good.
Target shopping cart.
Good. That's not how
Gart.
you spell cart. Oh my god. Why can't I type today? Plural noun. What if we did gingers?
Okay.
Another noun.
Oh. What did I have today? Oat milk shaken espresso.
Okay.
I didn't like it. Like, it was fine. But they put cinnamon on top, and I don't really like just cinnamon. So.
Place. What about the Hershey Chocolate Factory?
Okay. That's a good one.
Adjective. I guess we'll go with squeamish then. Okay.
That looks so weird.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. Noun.
Sweet potato. Dehydrated sweet potato.
Okay. Go mad.
Be kind to your Target shopping cart footed gingers. Oh my god. Can you imagine that? For a duck, maybe somebody's oat milk shaken espresso. Be kind to your gingers in Hershey Chocolate Factory, where the weather is always squeamish. You may think that this is a dehydrated sweet potato. Well, it is.
Great. Love that.
That was really good.
Do you want to do one more? There's Start All Over Hannah Montana.
Yeah. Okay.
Noun. I think that we should go with Vaseline.
Okay.
Verb.
Munch.
I'm scared. Another noun. What about margarita?
Okay.
Verb ending in ed.
Collided.
Okay, that's good. Please tell me you're not reading after we collided.
No, I was just thinking of how, I don't know, I was like, a car just passed. There's a lot of like car crashes at my street corner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like really positive. Yeah. Swiffer. Can Swiffer be a noun? A verb?
Yeah,
Swiffer the floor.
You can Swiffer something, but what? You can't just do things that you see in your room.
I do not see a Swiffer in my room.
Okay, you can't look at dust and be like, Swiffer.
Why not?
Because, listen.
I feel like that was obscure.
We need something for, this is about content here.
Smush. I don't know.
Smush is okay. I don't want you to feel discouraged. I just want you to dig deep.
There's nothing in my brain.
Okay.
Now can we do Swiffer?
Sure. Adjective.
Obscure.
Noun. How about toenail clipper?
Okay, you definitely see that.
No, I don't. Adjective. Sexy.
Okay.
Verb ending in ed. These are funnier, like the weirder and like the like not dirtier, but like the more like bathroom talk there is. It's just funnier.
Okay. Now I'm just thinking of things in a bathroom. So
That's not what I mean.
I know that's not what you mean, but that's where my head goes.
We should do sucked.
Do that one.
Sucked. Okay.
You like say it like with a T.
Sucked.
Yeah.
Sucked. You say
I know, like, but like I felt like you overemphasized.
You say it.
No.
No, you say it.
No, I know I'd say it the same way. Fine, sucked.
You say it with the
I
T.
know. It just sounded funny.
Okay. Body part.
Armpit hair.
Good. Thank you. Wait, instead of toenail clipper, can we do Timothée Chalamet's toenail clipper?
Yeah.
And that's all, so we're just gonna go mad. Start all over. Hannah Montana.
It's like playing in my head, so I'm going to try not to sing it.
I have to wonder if this Vaseline's too big to ride. Munch or not munch in such a crazy margarita. It's sooner than I thought, but you collided me out. I've lost control, and there's no eggplant. I'm gonna smush all over.
Out of the Swiffer and into the Swiffer again. You make me want to forget and smush all over. Here I come, obscure out of my mind, or wait, I don't actually remember how the song goes. Or worse, another Timothée Chalamet's toenail clipper to get burned and smush all over. I'm gonna smush all over.
Fantastic and sexy. All a big surprise. You've got the warning, hesitation sucked aside. As it's sooner than I want, but you caught my armpit hair. I guess I'm ready now to smush. I'm gonna smush all over. Yay! That was way more stressful than we thought.
I guess, so we're going to the movie now. Apologies that took so long. Maybe it won't. We'll see.
It won't take, for you guys, it will not take long. for us.
I guess before we start, just a warning that we will be talking about sexual assault because that does occur in this movie and is sort of a reoccurring theme. But anyway, into the movie.
On that break, though.
Okay, there are a couple things that don't make sense to me in this movie, or I don't like, but
there are a few things that I don't like, so it's okay.
Okay, I don't really get this part. The opening scene is the main character, Vivian, running through the woods. Why? Okay, I don't think anything about it, but then there's like one flash to running through the woods, and then at the very end, she's running through the woods, but I don't see how it connects. Maybe I just missed it.
I understand what they're trying to do, and it's probably a bigger deal in the book, but their visual storytelling here was a bit off, in my opinion, because I get it. Like, they open with this girl running in the woods. She tries to scream, but she can't, which is, I guess, a metaphor for the main character, Vivian. She feels helpless in a situation. So by the end of the movie, it shows, so she's dreaming. And then by the end of the movie, it shows her being able to scream in that dream. That rhymed. It didn't mean to rhyme. So I get that, but I think it would have just been more effective because after that, it shows her working on her personal essay to UC Berkeley, and it's asking her what causes she cares about. So I think it would have been more effective for them to have cut out the wood scene, just open with her struggling to figure out what she wants to write about, mention it halfway through the movie again, and then end with her having written that personal statement about everything that she learned in the movie. That would have been way more effective.
Yeah, it just seemed very I thought something was gonna come from this, and then nothing happened. So I thought that would definitely be more effective. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's just random at the beginning and then random at the end. And I like get that it's supposed to be a metaphor, but it just didn't fit.
I will say though that this is the part that Archie was intrigued by. He liked the woods. So you got a thumbs up from a 3-month-old puppy. So
Great.
good. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like the whole beginning of the movie actually. It's Vivian's first day of 11th grade. All these people look super old to be in high school. Just gonna say it. They're probably 30-year-olds.
Actually, Vivian looks like she could be in high school.
Really? I thought she looked kind of old.
She looks exactly like this girl that I knew like my freshman year of college, except like a little younger. And so like I feel like she looks like the age range.
I guess it's like subjective. But so we kind of like hear that there's this ranking system going around the school, ranking girls. I don't know if there's boys on the list as well.
No.
Okay. Kind of like who's who is the best chess. I don't remember exactly what they all were, but like best chess. There's like most bangable.
The way that you said best chess.
Right, I know. I forget the other ones.
It's like the biggest butt.
But it's like a list of all the girls.
Most obedient.
That was on there. But yeah, so there's this underlying like kind of fear of like where you're gonna be on this ranking list and what you're gonna get. We kind of meet a bunch of characters at the beginning. So we have Vivian, the main character. Her best friend is Claudia. One of Vivian's friends' name is Seth. Spoiler, she has a crush on him. And then there's also Tessa. Oh no, I'm sorry, Emma, played by Josephine Langford, who was Tessa in After, and Lucy, who is a new girl. I think they're kind of the main characters.
Yeah, but at the beginning, it's important to note that Vivian doesn't really have any friends besides Claudia, and they have this whole like their whole future is planned together, which is something that bothers me so much. Isabel knew that I was going to bring this up, but in all of these like teenage coming of age movies set in California, it's always the same thing. It starts off with this girl who doesn't know what her personal essay is gonna be. She's applying to UC Berkeley specifically to spend college with their best friend or boyfriend. And the movie's about their struggle, and they at the end they always find something to write their personal essay about.
Yeah.
That happened in To All the Boys I've Loved Before. It happened in what's the
Booksmart.
Booksmart. It happened Ladybird.
I think it was Ladybird too.
Ladybird, what's the really bad? The Kissing Booth. And
like,
this one.
Like, what? Can you just pick another school?
There are more colleges than UC Berkeley, people. Come on.
Like,
do you think that UC Berkeley, like,
they, like, pay to be played?
Do you think they pay for it?
I mean, like, they can't just, like, all be like, oh, yeah, UC Berkeley, that's the one to go to. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a good school, but there's lots of other good schools in California.
Yeah.
And there's other states.
Oh,
I don't know if you knew that.
No, there's not. It's just California.
Yeah. So I forgot about one person. And that one person is Mitchell, the annoying white guy. You can like kind of clearly see from the beginning he's just garbage. And if you don't, rewatch the movie, please.
If you don't, you're the problem.
Yeah. So we're in English class and they're talking about the only book 11th grade English ever reads, The Great Gatsby.
We didn't read that in 11th grade.
I know, I didn't read it either, but like I know everyone else has read that book.
I'm pretty sure we read that in, like, my class at least read that in 9th grade.
I never read it, but I know everyone else did.
You've read it, like, on your own, right?
No, I never read it.
Bruh. You need to read it.
Why?
Because it's important to history.
Why?
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah. I think I went on a school trip to see it.
I feel like it's important to understanding the 20s. Why do you read any book?
I have not read a book in years.
This is why you're bad at MadLibs.
You know, like you've ever like you just get like burnt out from having to constantly read for class.
That's why you don't read for class and then you read for pleasure only.
Except I have to read for class.
I had to read for class and I literally never did. And I did well in school.
I have a book report due next week, so
Why do you have book reports in college?
this is like my third one.
What do you have? Why? Why are they
Like
making you
it's
do
not like a book report. It's like I don't know, a review. I don't know, same thing.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
You should just spark notes.
I don't think these are all spark notes. Anyway, moving on.
We don't endorse cheating in school.
Yeah, no. Do your work.
Do your reading, but don't. Because if you actually took the time to do every reading.
Okay, I don't do like I skim. Like you learn how to skim.
I've seen someone break down the calculations. If you were to do every single reading that you're assigned in college, there would literally not be enough hours in the day for you to ever sleep. You physically cannot do it.
Yeah, for my one class, like I have class 2 times a week. It's 30 pages, like that's the like minimum. And then she's like, "Oh, it's going to be a long one this week." And then it's like 60 pages. I'm like,
isn't that the point of you being the teacher here? You're supposed to teach instead of having your students read.
it's a lot.
This is
moving on. Anyway, so we're in this class, English class, and we kind of see that everyone likes Mitchell, even though he's kind of awful. He's actually awful. And like the teachers are like, "Hey, that's Mitchell." Like the principal doesn't care about anything that he does because he's just like a big, not like booster for the school, but like he's the guy,
the face of the school.
Yeah. And after class, like and during class, Mitchell like bullies Lucy for speaking up. And we later see them in the lunch room cafeteria, I guess. And he like tries to sort of flirt with Lucy and like touch her, and she's like, "Don't touch me, like what are you doing?" And then he slams his hand on a like vending machine. He's like, "I was just getting the drink," and then he spits in it and gives it to her.
Men are gross.
And yeah, it's awful. And what's worse, I'd say, is that she goes to the principal, is like, "He is harassing me," and the principal's like, no, he's bothering you. He's not harassing you, he's just bothering you. If you use bother, I don't have to do anything about it. She just dismisses the whole thing and like basically just like redirects her and is like, "You know what, I see here you like music, I'm gonna sign you up for marching band." And
do you know that same exact thing happened to me in elementary school? This boy was picking on me and I went to like the teacher about it, and instead of making him have consequences for his actions, they sent us to peer mediation, basically meaning that both parties did something wrong, where I was literally just minding my own business and this boy came up to me and started like bothering me or harassing me, actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to use the word bother. And they were like, "Can you agree to stop bothering her and everything will be fine?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then it did nothing. Literally the exact same situation happened before my very own eyes to me.
It's like when people say like boys will be boys, and no, like that's not excusable. I mean, girls shouldn't act that way either to anyone else. So like why can't you just teach anyone to be respectful, you know?
Yeah. Because if you're saying boys will be boys when it comes to stuff like that, then it creates this kind of mentality that men don't really have to have consequences for their actions as adults. You started off young, obviously it's going to be a thing when they're adults too. So you have like men doing awful things to women and getting away with it because boys will be boys.
Yeah. Anyway.
Fun. we love to see it. Okay, so up next, school is now over and Vivian is being really mean to her mom. Her mom is played by Amy Poehler. I don't think we talked about
No, I don't think we did.
Amy Poehler's acting in this movie is, I hate to say it, atrocious. I don't know why. I just can't get on board with it. What do you think it's good?
I don't think it's like awful. I don't know. It just like kind of feels like it's just her. Does that make sense?
Maybe. I think it was like her, but with less personality.
Yeah, I feel like I would have liked to learn more about her character. Like, she seems like she was like super cool.
Yeah. And in this, they make her seem like kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, so she's being mean to her mom, and they're at the grocery store, and her mom's a single mom. Vivian's dad doesn't really want anything to do with them. He married someone else already. He's like moved on, which is awful. But this man comes up to Vivian's mom and starts flirting with her. They're like work buddies. Vivian's like, that man was flirting with you, and it was awkward.
It's the guy, like Agent Coulson, I think is his name, in Marvel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with his work, but okay. So yeah, next she's trying to write her personal statement, but she cannot figure out a cause that she cares about. So at school the next day, Vivian finds Lucy in the hallway and tells her to keep her head down and just don't let Mitch bother her. And of course, Lucy's like, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm not going to keep my head down and just let this kid bother me. I'm going to speak out, which is good for her. Later that night, Vivian finds out that her mom spent her time as a teen crushing the patriarchy in a rebel like feminist group. She even had her own like feminist zine, and she really liked the band Bikini Kill, which is a really good band.
And I think like this moment kind of like I wrote it like radicalized her. So they go to a pep rally the next day, and she really starts to notice all the problematic things that the boys are doing. The fact that they can come in and take their shirts off. They actually go up and like hit the girls on their butts, and there's no repercussions for any of their actions. And it's just like really upsets her. And at this pep rally, the ranking list comes out, and everyone checks it. Like, it's like the pep rally doesn't even matter anymore. Everyone's checking their phones to look at the list. We see one girl, the girl who's like got the best chest. She like zips up her jacket immediately, and there's a new like ranking on the list. It's not like a ranking list. It's more like awful superlatives, I guess you could say.
Sexist superlatives.
Yeah. So Vivian gets most obedient, and then Emma, the Tessa,
Tessa.
Yeah, she gets most bangable, and then the newest one on the list, it's the biggest, I don't want to say it.
It's like C word.
Yeah, the biggest C word, and that goes to Lucy because she turned him down and she like cut him off in class and whatever. Lucy, as soon as she sees it, takes to the principal, and the principal completely dismisses it. She's like, "Oh no, I don't understand that. I don't understand social media." She's like, "No, like, do you see this?" And this has been going around the school every year, so it's not like
she definitely knew.
She had to have known about it. And this is her moment. Vivian's moment. Yeah. So she storms out of the pep rally, goes home, and makes her own zine and calls it Moxie. And she makes 50 copies of it and puts it and like sneaks into school the next morning and puts it in the girls' bathroom. And as soon as she like gets it in there to distribute the magazines, she runs into the stall because there's other girls that come into the bathroom, and they see it on the counter, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is like really cool, like standing up for all the girls who have been harassed by Mitchell." And it makes her feel really good because she didn't know if other people would feel the same way that she was. We see that Mitchell somehow got a copy, and he's saying that he's harassing Lucy again, saying that she wrote it.
Well, he took her copy.
Oh, okay. Well, Mitchell took her copy. And he harasses Lucy because like saying that she wrote it, because on the list is like, or on the zine is like worst guys. I don't remember exactly what it says, but like worst guys at, is it Rockport? I think it's Rockport. And like he's number one. He's like, "Oh, you wrote this because you hate me and whatever."
I personally think that I would have punched him at that very moment. He was being so rude. Like, I would have punched him.
Yeah. What's like I think I at this point we all see that Claudia just like Vivian's best friend, we haven't really mentioned her too much, but she just doesn't get it. Not like doesn't get it, but isn't radicalized in the same way that Vivian is, and it kind of disappoints Vivian to like not see her getting as I guess angry about what's going on. They're both introverts, but Claudia's much more so.
I'd say that Claudia isn't as outspoken
Mm-hmm.
and she has a lot of internalized misogyny, but she explains why later.
Yeah. Yeah. And Claudia, like there's this thing that Vivian wrote in the zine and says like tomorrow put is it hearts and stars or like I
Yeah,
think it's hearts and stars on your hand to show your support. That's what Claudia's like, I don't like want to do that. That's kind of the first moment that Vivian's like, oh, that's kind of like, why won't you do that? No one knows it's Vivian. I forgot to say that. Like, no one knows who created Moxie.
Yeah, so the next day, people were kind of supposed to draw on their hands in support of the women at the school, but when Vivian first arrived, no one that she's seen so far has done it. So she goes into the bathroom to wash it off until she sees the soccer team, who is kind of, you've seen in scenes before them getting angry at the fact that male athletes get so much more attention than women's sports, which is a real thing that happens. Obviously everywhere. And so she sees that the soccer team had drawings on their hands, and then a bunch of other girls have them too. And then she also sees that Seth, the skater boy who she has a crush on, he drew on his hands. Yes, King. We love
a supportive boy.
We love an ally. He also, during class, invites her to a party. And during this class, the principal comes in and this girl gets dress coded for having big boobs and has to go home. And so she was wearing a tank top. And the girl next to her was also wearing a tank top, but because her boobs were bigger, she apparently was being more sexualized and quote unquote distracting to the boys, which is a real thing that happens at schools. But that kind of made me happy to have gone to the high school that we went to, because I feel like it was kind of the opposite. Like, we were given way more freedom than the boys were, in a sense. Like, I would always show up to school with like really short skirts on, like dresses, and the boys would always have to wear like polos or like blazers with a tie on Mondays. And like, we could get away with more, and they weren't even allowed to have their hair long.
Yeah, I think like our case, like it's very different than a public school where they technically have more freedom with what they wear. Although now they like literally wear whatever they want. There's no
Really?
blazers ever.
Damn.
It's so weird, and I'm like it's not fair.
Wow. Well, listen, I think that having a uniform kind of like helped me get my life together, because then you didn't have to like, we were always seen wearing like the same things, and like there's never like a horrible fashion trend that we participated in at school.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I was just like looking at this and kind of thankful that like we went to a high school where like the boys had a stricter dress code than the girls.
There's one thing I'll say about that though. Given my body type, a skirt that I would wear, I was like told that was too short or too
Really?
tight when someone else wore something even shorter and even tighter, and they weren't called out because their body is different than mine.
They told you that your skirt was too short?
Mhm.
But where in the rule book did it ever say that we had a limit for our skirts? That's arbitrary. That's so annoying. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, I remember I was walking to the gym.
That's so annoying. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was like 10th grade. I don't care.
I know,
But like it happened, and I think that's just because I look different. Why am I getting called out? And someone else is doing the exact same thing, if not quote unquote worse, you know?
Yeah. I also remember like wearing black jeans every day instead of like khakis. And I was only ever like called out once for it, when like my math teacher was like, you like are never in dress code. Do you realize that? Like those are jeans. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then she never brought it up again.
It's like hard to find khakis though,
And khakis that look good.
right?
Ew, like we had to wear khakis. That's so embarrassing.
Anyway.
Anyway.
So they're at the party later that day after this girl gets literally taken out of school because she was wearing a tank top. There's one thing I didn't write down, but I noticed it. Mitchell's playing like beer pong or something with the two girls from the soccer team who happen to be black. And he's like, no, I don't want you to play anymore. And two white girls come up. I don't know if they meant anything by that, but it made me think. I don't know if you caught that, but it like happened in the background. It was like really hard. I didn't catch it quite right away.
I caught that like they were winning and then he got mad. So I don't know.
But anyway, so at this party, these two soccer girls actually catch up with Claudia and Vivian. And they're like, come here, like we want to talk to you. So they come into this room where Lucy is, and the girl who got dress coded, another girl named CJ, and then I think there's someone else, but I can't remember the other person. But they kind of call it their first official Moxie meeting. So they're all talking about like, what are they gonna do? Like, do we know who Moxie is? And trying just to like figure things out. And you can see that Claudia is like visibly kind of uncomfortable by the whole situation, and you don't know why. And later that night, we see Vivian making the next volume of Moxie, and kind of the same process, getting the copies, going to school early. But she actually runs into Seth there, and he is now the only person who knows that she is the person who made Moxie. And he's like, like he's a great ally. I love Seth.
We stand.
Seth is the best. But he's like, you know what? Give me some. I'll put them in the boys' bathroom. I'm sure like there are people that hate Mitchell as much as all the girls do. They want to help you. So he does. And what they're supposed to do this time, like the, I guess, call to action or whatever, is that they're all supposed to wear tank tops the next day to support. I don't know what her name is. I like never got any of their names.
Yeah. The girl who got dress coded is
the girl who got dress coded, just to support her. Again, we see Claudia being super hesitant. Kind of because of that, Vivian goes thrifting with Lucy. They get closer, and Claudia kind of sees that she's kind of not losing her best friend, but like she's becoming more.
She's gaining some popularity. I guess.
Yeah. But she tries to support her by wearing a tank top the next day. But her mom basically just yells at her for wearing it, and she has to change.
Listen, this is a lesson to anyone who is a young woman who may have parents who don't want them to dress a certain way. If you want a tip, you either pack it in your bag and change in the bathroom before school starts, or you just wear like a sweatshirt or a jacket over it. And then they'll never know.
Yeah, but we see that all the other girls at school are wearing tank tops, and the boys are wearing them as well. And this is kind of like their first real fight, I guess, because Vivian's like why wouldn't you wear that? Like, why aren't you supporting Moxie? And she also like finds out that she didn't catch her up on like what was going on with Seth and how like she really likes him and everything.
And so that same day, they're in homeroom / English again, and the teacher, who is he?
He's so familiar.
We have to look this up. Let's see. Mr. Davies. His name is Ike Barinholtz. None of these. He was in Vampires Suck.
No, that's definitely.
Oh, he was in Neighbors. Oh, he was in Neighbors. Who did he play in? He was in the Lego Movie 2. The Disaster Artist.
Oh, he was in Suicide Squad.
The Angry Birds movie. Cool.
Okay.
Okay, so the English teacher, he looks familiar because he's in a lot of stuff that we've seen, and he is asked to comment on the shirt situation, and he says that he's staying out of it because it is a women's issue. And he's starting to fumble a bit because then like someone starts recording him, and he's just basically like saying this blanket diversity statement that all public schools probably train their teachers to say. And so he's like, I gotta go, and then just walks out. It's just so unprofessional. Like, what is he doing in the school? But yeah, so it's now the football game, and Mitchell like wins a scholarship because he's uncontested. It's basically this scholarship to whatever school you want, and it's usually a football player. And so Mitchell like won it, but then all the girls are like, no, like we have a nomination, and it's Kiara, the captain of the girls soccer team. And so all the girls stand up. They're like, I nominate her. I second that. Yeah, so it's now Kiara against Mitch, and Claudia is sitting there while Vivian like speaks up and is like, I second that. Claudia feels left out, and she leaves because she's like jealous and also sad.
Yeah, so they fight about like why she won't, I guess, like stand up and why she didn't nominate. And nothing really gets resolved at that point. But then Seth comes up and is like, "Hey, do you want to go for like a drive with me?" And they go to a funeral home and they like pick out coffins and then they lay in a casket and listen to music. Like it's very weird, but like they kind of make it cute. I don't know how I'd feel about it.
I can't say I could be seduced in a funeral home. I can't say I could be.
Yeah, probably not. As they're going home, or as he takes her home, and he doesn't kiss her in the car or in the casket from before. But then he's like, oh my gosh, I just like ruined that, and runs out before she gets in the door, and then they kiss and it's cute. But then so the next day, they're having another Moxie meeting, and while this is like in the locker room or something, and Emma slash Tessa is standing kind of around the corner while this is going on, and she is like, oh no, I'm just like grabbing my uniform, but like she's clearly listening. After that, we kind of see it's I wrote it as like kind of big feminist moments for everyone. We see CJ, who is a trans woman, audition for the musical when she previously I wasn't sure if it was like she just felt she wouldn't be accepted or they weren't letting her.
Yeah, I think they weren't letting her, and they were also using her dead name.
Ah, okay. Wow, that's the only one I wrote down. But there were other things that happened then. It kind of all comes to a climax. So what I can think of comes to a climax when Claudia comes up as like a waving the white flag, like an apology sort of, I'd say. She says, I've registered Moxie as a club with the school because you wouldn't be able to do all the things you're doing unless you'd be kicked out if you weren't registered as a club. And she joins basically and tells Vivian that she's nowhere near as outspoken as she is, and she wants to be a part of this, but in her way, and that's going to be a lot more subtle.
Or so she thinks.
Yeah.
Okay. So next, the Moxie girls decide to have this party, and this middle school girl band is performing. And they're honestly everything that we wish that we
That's literally what I wrote. I said, this is exactly what we were trying to be, and we weren't.
Those girls are so talented. And then, like, we're, like, in our girl band in high school, like, yikes. Yeah, so, they're just killing the game here, and we will never be like them, but that's okay. So now at school, Mitchell speaks on morning announcements and says that Moxie is targeting him, which is just funny coming from him because he targets all of the girls at school. So love that for him. And it sucks because Kara didn't get the opportunity to do the same thing. Like she didn't get the opportunity to like speak during her campaign in front of the whole school like Mitchell did. Next, Seth is meeting Vivian's mom, and she's being so mean to him. But like in the classic like stereotypical like mom in movie way, She's like, like I see you got me ice cream that my daughter bought, obviously, and it's just not very accepting of their relationship, but that's what parents do.
I feel like she's accepting. She's just like messing with him to be.
she's just trying to embarrass him, humble him,
Yeah, she like also says like, "Oh, weren't you the kid that peed his pants at the museum in first grade?"
You know, men deserve to be humbled. So
Yeah.
if there's anything that they don't lack, it's the audacity. So yes. So Seth and Viv then go to the football game. They make out in the car first, and it's steamy,
Like literally.
literally steamy. And then they go to the football game. Sadly, Kiara lost the competition.
Once she goes home, like she's drunk because she like got really mad about everything that happened. Again, creates a new Moxie zine and also makes stickers that say, yeah, okay. The stickers say you're an asshole. And she actually gets taken to the principal's office. She's like, who is this? Like, do you have any idea? She denies it. She's like, I don't know. But instead, Claudia gets suspended for Moxie because she goes and covers for Vivian, and says that it was her that started it, so she's suspended. Vivian finds out from Lucy. Lucy says like, "Oh, she took one for the team, isn't it great?" And Vivian's just mad because like, no, like she's my best friend. Like I wouldn't want this to happen to her. Like she doesn't say, "Oh, she's covering for me," but
Mm-hmm.
kind of insinuated, I guess.
And also, like, getting suspended is a huge deal for Claudia because her parents, we'll find out, like, we'll explain in a bit, but her parents are super strict.
Yeah. So Vivian goes right to Claudia's house. This is kind of where we find out like how big of a deal it is for her and why she hasn't been like stepping up, I guess, because her parents are immigrants and they've worked really hard for her to even be able to go to school and be able to apply and go to a really good college, and she just can't risk that. And she just doesn't understand because Vivian is white and because she doesn't have to worry about, I guess, the racial implications of her actions. She calls her a coward for not stepping up when it was finally time to like really step up, which is now. And I feel like that makes her spiral.
Mm-hmm. And this is the part of the movie that I had like a huge problem with. They bring up these instances where like that like every woman could relate to with like little to like no nuance. And I think that the fact that they also like have this movie through the eyes of a cis white woman is like what does that do to like further the conversation?
That's what I wrote at the end of the movie. Like that was like my big problem. Like, why does it have to be started by a white girl? I don't know. I feel like they're like, oh, if it's a black girl, then there'll be this angry black woman trope. And I think a black woman should be the leader of this movement. Like Lucy should be the leader. She's incredibly strong. Like why does it have to be a blonde hair, blue-eyed white girl, you know?
Yeah. And the fact that the only character that really develops in this is like think about Claudia is a static character. She has this one aspect of her personality that's her whole character. Lucy has this one aspect of her personality, her strength, that is her whole character. And then the only person that grows and changes throughout it is Vivian. And so it's like I wish that this movie were through Lucy's perspective because
Mm-hmm.
then it would show her being vulnerable. Like it would show that like black women don't have to be play this strong character all the time. And it's just funny to me because she plays this really strong character, like a secondary character with no development, but then you still have white savior Vivian.
Yeah. Like everything that this movie does, then it's just like a white savior complex. And you're like, well, okay. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, like what do they think that they're doing to like further the conversation here?
Yeah.
And the fact that this whole conversation with Claudia is through Vivian's perspective is
Mm-hmm.
like that's not like helping that much. It's great seeing like what Claudia is going through and how like her experience can relate to like so many women in the US with like immigrant parents, but the fact that we're learning about it through Vivian's perspective is like
Yeah. And Vivian's like, I feel like she's incredibly defensive about it as well.
yeah, instead of her being like, I didn't see that before, like, I'm so sorry, like, she just stormed off and like threw a hissy fit.
Yeah. She's like, no one's helping me. Like, literally, you have the entire school behind you.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You are the leader of an anonymous group.
And someone else took the fall for you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And she couldn't even be honest with Claudia.
I know.
You know what? Vivian's the worst.
Yeah. At this point, I was just like, I'm done with you.
Starting a Vivian hate page.
So once she like really spirals, everyone's like mad at her. She's mad at the world. Bleh. No one's talking. She's not talking to Seth. She's not really talking to Claudia. She's not talking to anyone involved with Moxie, and it's kind of come to a plateau. That's the word I'm looking for. That's a good word.
Expanding our vocabulary each and every episode.
Yeah. But so Seth doesn't want to talk to her. So she goes to the bathroom, and there's just miraculously a note from someone. Like, I don't know how she got it. Like, of course, I don't know. Anyway, but the note says, it's an anonymous note from a girl saying that the previous year they were raped, and they didn't go to the police because they didn't know, or anyone, because they didn't think they would be believed, and they didn't know how to handle it. This is kind of another radicalization moment, I think, for her. It's kind of like her peak of the most that she will do. She, on the front steps of the school that night, she paints. So the school's name is Rockport. I'm like 99% sure. But she puts rape port on the front steps, and also makes a new a new volume, I guess, of Moxie that says, we are going to walk out in the middle of whatever class period tomorrow in support. That day in English class, the teacher's like, if you walk out, you can be expelled. Like, this is serious. But he shows on his hands, he has the stars and the hearts.
You know, we have
supporting them.
We have to stand a king that's willing to learn.
Yeah.
You know, he made some mistakes in the past, but he's learning. At this walkout, pretty much like almost the whole school is out there. All the girls at least are. There are some guys. And Vivian stands up on a ledge and admits that she is the leader of Moxie, and she's the one who started it, and that if anyone should get expelled, it should be her. And then everyone else pulls a Radio Rebel and is like, I'm Moxie. But instead of saying like I'm Radio Rebel, they just admit what they did to get expelled, which, you know, can't say is a new idea. We can't say it's a new idea. Debbie Ryan walked so that Vivian could run. Yeah, so then Emma stands up on the ledge and says that she was the one who wrote the note, and tells a story about how she was assaulted and then got voted the most bangable, which is just so awful.
By Mitchell.
Yeah, by Mitchell. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And while all of this is going down, the principal, who is not an ally, is watching, but then she decides to pull Mitchell out of class, and we don't really know the consequences.
Yeah.
Something tells me there will be none.
Yeah.
Then Claudia comes running into frame, says that Vivian's mom drove her there. Vivian's mom is really proud, and everything seems okay. She made up with Seth. It ends with a montage of them partying, instead of ending it with her finishing her personal essay.
Yeah, like why add that? Like, again, like why add that in and then never do anything with it?
Yeah, if you're gonna make UC Berkeley part of your experience in high school, like, why not? That would make it full circle.
Yeah. But that's it, and then it ends.
Yes.
The party looks really fun though. Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, you know, the party did look fun, except we have to cancel them because we're in a Pandora.
But yeah, so like my thing with I really liked it, except then I was like, well, this was just like a white savior complex movie.
I feel like it presented it in a way that was very like, ooh, like they only explain situations where it's very clear what to do, like what's right and what's wrong.
Mhm.
They don't really delve deeper. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a start, but there's so much more they could have done.
I feel like this is like I think it could be a good introduction to feminism. Like kind of movie. It could be.
It's like you're standing on a street corner at a college campus and you're handing out brochures about feminism.
Yeah. It's like a start. It's not doing everything or enough.
It
But it's
isn't
like
giving me everything.
But it's getting there.
Also, it's all putting it into this like really neat present. And it's like everything has an answer and everything has a solution.
Yeah.
And the solution is like very much white perspective.
And a lot of the time it's not white perspective, and there's a lot more gray area that you have to work through, I guess.
Yeah. So in conclusion, stan Lucy.
Yes, we love Lucy. I love Lucy.
But I don't know. I feel like this movie was important to talk about this week because, of course, it's Women's History Month, but also at the same time, we've been seeing some devastating things in the news that it's bringing a lot of issues that are already around to light about how 97% of women in the UK are sexually harassed and or assaulted. Mm-hmm. And the hate crime that just happened in Georgia. So yeah, I don't know. Movies like this are, I guess, important, but men are not watching this movie.
Yeah.
And this movie is very much like catered to white cis women.
Mm-hmm. I think my final statement would be that while this movie brought up feminism, I think it didn't bring up, and it did a little bit, but it didn't bring up intersectional feminism in a way that I think it could have. I think they touched on it with Claudia and a bit with Lucy, but I think they could have done a lot more. And I think that starts with giving Lucy her own movie and giving the whole thing again from her perspective. I would 100% watch that.
Mm-hmm. And even like CJ, it feels like they were just ticking off boxes.
Yeah.
Didn't go deeper.
Also, I don't even think maybe they gave her a name, but they definitely didn't say it enough. But the one girl in marching band who was in a wheelchair, they would always put her in the back, but that's like kind of all they did about that.
We see, like, the thing is too is that we see right through it.
Yeah.
Like anyone watching that sees right through it.
Archie sees right through it.
Archie says down with the patriarchy. But this has been fun. Well, has it been fun?
I think it's been interesting.
It's been interesting. If you enjoy us, feel free to follow us on social media. Our Instagram is How Have We Never Podcasts, right?
If you just search How Have We Never, we will most definitely come up.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.